Мы сейчас находимся в Махабодхи Meditation Center. Тут мы познакомились с одним монахом интересным. Он вообще американец из Америки, и 8 лет назад он стал монахом. И сейчас он скоро собирается вернуться обратно в Америку, и чтобы рассказывать людям про буддизм и учить медитации. Вот. А сейчас мы зададим ему пару вопросов.
Your husband's very handsome, I think.
Yeah.
Very handsome man. I feel
Yeah.
a little lowered sitting next to him. Oh, how can I look handsome next to this man? Wow.
This is not for the video.
Yeah, for video.
I feel a little bit shy. So what's your name?
My name's Tenzin Tharpa.
Can you tell a little bit about your story? So how did you decide to become a monk? Where are you from first?
Sure.
And how did you decide to come here and become a monk?
Sure. I'm from America. My last home was Boulder, Colorado, in the mountains. I got into Buddhism just simply by reading. I started reading some great books. I've always been interested in religion and philosophy, more from an academic point of view than from a religious point of view. And I was studying all the religions of the world. Buddhism really stood out to me, and I really fell in love with Buddhism very quickly, and especially the teachings of the Dalai Lama. So for me, it wasn't a rash move. It was a slow descent into Buddhism. It took me many years. I've been studying Buddhism for 25 years. I think the whole time I always wanted to be a monk, but it took me about 15 years before I got the courage to come to India and actually become a monk. So in 2010, in Dharamsala, the home of the Dalai Lama, I took ordination and got to meet His Holiness, so that was great. Following that, I went to the south, Indian south, where the big monasteries are, the big Tibetan monasteries. I went to Sarajay Monastery, which is one of the biggest, over 5,000 monks. And just this year I'm completing my formal education, and I'm going to be going out into the world.
Did you have family before you became a monk?
I was a musician before I was a monk. So many musicians don't have time for family, we're always traveling. So I was kind of fortunate that I was a musician until, I was 30 or 35. I was a piano player and a piano teacher. And then I got into Buddhism, and I was so lucky because I wasn't married and I didn't have children, and which is wonderful. But so many of my friends got into Buddhism, but they had wife and children, and they wished they could become monks. So I was kind of fortunate that I got right into Buddhism afterwards. So no, I've never been married. My parents are passed away. I'm an only child, so I'm by myself in the world, and all of humanity is now my family. So pretty nice.
Nice. And was it hard to make a decision to refuse all this regular life and just become a monk, like to become some kind of person without any possession, any belongings? Like that?
Yeah. Well, I think that question, it's different for different people. Some people are kind of drawn to it. Some people would be difficult. Oddly, being a musician kind of reminds me of being a monk, that we traveled the United States and Canada in an old van, and we didn't care anything about money. We just cared about our music, and we traveled and met people. In a sense, it was a bit like being a renunciant. So I found the transition was easier, but again, I didn't do it quickly. I did it very gradually. I remember at one point I moved across America. I found a Lama teacher, and I stayed with him for a year or so. And then I just slowly got deeper and deeper in. We call it renunciation. Until I finally really wanted to become a monk. But one thing that people might not understand, I had a scientist friend, and he said, how can you give up the pleasures of life? What people don't know is that, for me, I've never given up pleasure. I've never given up these things. Instead, I've only moved closer and closer to liberation and freedom. So in a sense, I've decided to trade lesser pleasures for greater pleasures. Being a monk, you have a lot of free time. You're able to help others. There's a great amount of happiness and joy related to it. Tibetans have a saying, and they say renunciation is like trading candy for gold. So yes, candy is delicious, but a smart person would rather wait a little bit and have the gold instead. Gold goes a lot further. So for me, I've never felt that I've had to give up anything. I've never felt. I've only felt liberated the whole time. I've just felt that I've moved closer and closer to happiness and liberation and freedom.
And what does it all mean for you? Liberation, happiness.
Sure.
What is it for you?
So we have a few words in Buddhism that work with the word liberation. We have nirvana, we have enlightenment, we have realization, liberation. Hindus like to call it moksha. But the idea is just freeing ourselves from the obstructions we have in life. So, physically, you can imagine many problems that we all have in our lives that we're trying to get free of. We all would like to be free of poverty. We'd like to be free of oppression. We would like to own our own businesses and not have people yelling at us and things like that. So that's one aspect of it, but the more important is the internal liberation. And it's being freed from your own neuroses, your own mental problems. All of these things are thought patterns that are uncontrollable. It could be a beautiful day, you could be having a picnic with your friends, and this horrible thought from the past comes of some girl who wasn't nice to you when you were a boy and you were embarrassed. Our minds are quite uncontrollable. So when you learn to gain control over your mind, this inner liberation is really the liberation that we're seeking. And once you have a taste of that, you don't have to completely be liberated to benefit from it. Even to be liberated a little bit, to gain a little more control over your mind, brings you a little bit more happiness. So to be freed from all these neuroses, all these mental instabilities, these emotional instabilities that we deal with every single day. I don't know about you, but I still do, but I do less. And that lessening of that instability is happiness. And so each day I wake up and my life is more stable. This happiness is there when I wake up. It's waiting for me, So that's important to know, that we're not waiting for some one day we'll reach some ultimate happiness. But no, day by day we can become happy in our lives. The more control you have over your thinking process and your emotions, literally the more happier you are.
Okay, thank you. And what is your next plan for the future?
Oh, so I'm just finishing my education, 10 years in India. And my visa's finished. I just finished a book that's the culminating thesis for my education. It's on my website, TenzinTharpa.com, if anybody would like to. The books are free for anyone. And so I decided to cap off my education that I wanted to do a one-year pilgrimage of Buddhist Asia. So I started Sri Lanka with a begging bowl. I'll be begging my way across to Buddhist Asia. And I'm going to study meditation, and I'm writing a book on monasticism. And so I'll be writing and studying meditation throughout Buddhist Asia, throughout all the traditions for a year. And hopefully I'll end up in Russia, visiting my friend here. And he has a place for me in Russia.
Very nice. Yeah, you're very welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and did you have, at any point in time, did you have an idea to give up being monk, just to return to your regular life, get some job, get some business or something like that? Because with this more mental power, more mental stability, I think you can be more successful in just regular life also, right?
Yeah. It's a little complex. So first of all, yes, many times have I thought I just wanted to give it all away. Usually when I'm angry, when I'm in the monastery, you have to remember that monasteries are full of people. My monastery has over 5,000 monks. So, like any group, like high school or college, there's people there that are difficult. So there's been many days that I got really angry at something, or I didn't like the way I was treated, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to give it up, and I'm going to. But luckily, I had the courage to keep going. But I think it's like all of us if we were in a university, and there's many days that you'd like to just leave university, but if we're strong, we stay and we get a degree, and then we can really help people. So I think that doesn't change whether you're a monk or a regular person. As far as the skills benefiting you in everyday life, they do. But also, between you and me, some of the things that you lose along the path, like the need for greed and needing to be popular and needing to be famous and all these things that we cling to in regular life, when you do away with them, often a lot of the drive that you have to compete in regular life might be missing. So if I started to be a car salesman, I might not be a very good car salesman because I'm not competitive. And if people said no, I would be very happy. Okay, have a good day. So maybe I wouldn't be very good at business because our world is set up for these. Our world is set up for these neurotic personalities to succeed. Sadly, but maybe I would be a good politician, or yeah. But I'm happy to just be a good monk. And the reason we wear these robes as a monk is that this is a uniform. So when people see us, they know that they can come to me for help if they need protection or advice. And also they know that I'm not going to go drinking with them in the evening or things like that. They keep me safe, and everybody knows that I'm a poor beggar and a monk.
One more question. In the world, there are so many different religions, so many different philosophies, and many people still put so much energy into arguing and deciding which one is better, which one is best. What do you think? Like, why there is so many religions, and how for people to come to one truth, or I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the reason there's so many religions is because there's so many cultures. There's so many different kinds of people and personalities. So this is a natural expression of our world. The Dalai Lama often says there's 6 billion people in the world. Maybe there should be 6 billion religions. There's nothing wrong with having personal religions that fit different styles. The problems get in is when we don't respect each other's views, or that we become so arrogant that we think that we're the only one that's right. And then we put pressure on others for that. Ultimately, none of us know what happens when we die. We all have a good guess, even a Buddhist. I believe the Buddhist teachings on what happens after death, but I don't know it to be true. I believe it to be true. This is a difference. So when you understand the difference between believing and knowing, there's a humility that comes with this. So if I'm sitting with someone from another faith and they try to tell me things about the end of life, I have to have respect for the person because I have a belief, but I don't know. They could be right, they could be wrong, right? So that humility of understanding the difference between believing and knowing is really what would bring all of our traditions together. And that's the key problem. That you know, especially in religions like the Abrahamic religions, we have 3 religions: the Christians, Jews, and the Muslims, and they all have the same God, and they all share the same Old Testament, but they all fight over who knows God best, who is right and who is wrong. So I think once we get some humility and we realize that we don't know and we're all just following our hearts, then great respect comes in, and we can really appreciate each other's views instead of being confrontational in those views.
Thank you. And in the end, maybe you want to say something for people who might see this and share some wish or something.
Yeah, so you know, one of the things that I like so much to share with people is the idea of how important happiness is. Let alone is it something that we all crave and we all live our lives for. It's also important in creating a better world. When you wake up and you make up your mind to be happy, You're at your best when you're happy. You're the most patient, you're the most compassionate, the most understanding, and oftentimes the smartest. When we're happy, we're smarter. We're physically more healthy. Our immune system is better when we're happy. So to be proactive about it and wake up in the morning each day and say, today I'm going to do my best to be happy. Of course, it doesn't always work. Oftentimes there's external things that happen which make us sad, and that's all right. But to the best of our ability, to be happy each and every day is a great thing to do for others. I had a teacher in one of my first monasteries, an old Tibetan Lama, and he would, whenever he saw me, he'd yell across the room, Tenzin Tharpa, Kerang Mitse Kipo Tong, Kerang Mitse Kipo Tong, which means, Tenzin Tharpa, enjoy your life. Every time he saw me, he'd yell at me, enjoy your life. Because this is really important. Spiritual people often think that we have to suffer our way to realization. It's not true. Actually, being happy and enjoying your life is a faster way to really benefit your life in every way. You'll be more successful in business and everything else. When you're happy, when you're enjoying your life, you're at your best. And you're wonderful for everyone around you, for your family, for your friends. So, enjoy your life, and be happy each and every day.
Thank you so much. May all beings be happy.
May all beings be happy.